I cannot believe this. I recorded this entire video and my microphone was dead the whole time. Oh my gosh. So now here I am doing a voiceover. So for a while now, I've been talking about aphrodisiac herbs and herbs to boost your libido and your sex drive and wetness and things like that. And so I just decided to make a honey out of it. I've actually never tried the honey packs that everybody's been talking about. I never tried it before. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make my own honey. I just be bored in the house sometimes and I like to play with herbs. And this day I decided to play with some herbs. So I was originally just gonna make a honey, but honey is not very soluble and it's not gonna pick up a lot of the properties of the herbs, maybe just a very small amount, even though Damiana is an aromatic herb. I wanted it to be a little bit stronger because I was going to add other herbs to it. So I'm deciding to make an elixir out of it. So that's what I'll be showing you today, how to make an aphrodisiac honey out of natural herbs. The first herb I'm going to use is Damiana. Of course, we know everything about Damiana. It's very good for sexual drive and libido. And then the second herb we're going to use is maca root. Maca root powder is also very good for boosting the libido system. I'm not going to use a lot of maca root because maca root does not have a very good taste, and I want this honey to taste really good. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the honey to the pot. You want to make sure that your heat is on low because you don't want to boil the honey, you don't want it to burn, and you don't want it to lose its integrity. I had previously made a slippery elm honey, and I'm just going to take my previously made slippery elm honey and add it to this honey pot because first of all, I didn't have a lot of honey, and second of all, I wanted to add slippery elm herb to it, so I may as well add the slippery elm honey that I've already created. So I mixed that in and danced and sang a little bit while the honey warmed up, and then I'm going to add my herbs to it. All right, so maca root. I did not want to add a lot of maca root because, again, maca root has a really bad taste, and I wanted my honey to taste good, so I just did that one little small teaspoon of maca root and mixed that in. Next up, Damiana. I wanted to be very heavy-handed on this one, so I added about 2 or 3 teaspoons of that in there. So I was trying to decide what I wanted the taste balance to be, and it was either lavender or rose, and the ancestors said, hey, just put some rose in it because rose is sexy. So I put rose in it, and the properties will be very balanced out with the honey. It'll be like a rose honey, which is very nice, and it did come out really nice. I have no idea what I'm running my mouth about this rose, but yeah, I added it to the honey and then stirred it up. The ancestors called me back and said, yo, you need to add some ginkgo leaf. Like, I was originally going to add ginkgo leaf, but then I was like, nah, I don't feel like going to get it. And then I'm like, no, add ginkgo leaf. So yeah, ginkgo leaf is really good for blood circulation. So you get the gist. And this is what you want your honey to look like. You definitely want your honey to be bubbling a little bit, not boiling, and it's not super duper hot. Make sure you're watching the heat and turning it down. So I stood and watched it for about 25, 30 minutes, and I stirred it the entire time to make sure I wasn't burning the honey. And now I'm going to strain it. I was originally going to strain it directly into the original honey jar, but it's too small. The top is too small, so I'm going to drain it into a bowl. And this process you definitely want to do while the honey is still piping hot because you want it to smoothly go in from the strainer into the bowl because remember, honey is really thick. And also with the herbs there, you want to make sure that you're pressing down and getting every single little piece of honey that you can get. So I did this for a couple minutes and mashed it down. I was mashing it down so much, I broke the damn spoon, but I was trying to get every little piece of honey up out of them herbs. And yeah, my dollar store spoon did not stand a chance. And this is the result of the herbs. I did take those herbs and made a tea. The tea was a 10 out of 10. If you do this, make sure you take your herbs, pour it back in the pot, pour some water over top of it, and make you a tea because it was really, really good. And this is the honey. It came out really good. The color changed obviously a little bit. I gave it a little taste test. It was really, really good. And I poured the honey back into the jar again while it's still hot before it gets too sticky and I lose some of the honey. I kept eating all this honey and then had the nerve to make a tea. And I was so horny at the end of the night. It was terrible. And of course, a little bit of twerking because I'm just a girl. What else am I supposed to do? So I let the honey cool off before I decided to add the alcohol. Not too much on my alcohol. I don't drink, and this is leftover alcohol that I had from a party that I threw a couple months back. But it is 40% alcohol. You have to make sure your alcohol is 40% or higher. It has to be 80 proof in order for it to properly extract the herbal properties from the herbs, and also you can use it as a preservative. So I mix this up real good for about a minute or two. It is already thickening, as you can see. And child, I had to taste it again. I don't know why I kept tasting this honey. And I really set myself up for failure because I really don't have a man. So I don't know why I kept doing this. But anyway, 10 out of 10. I had fun. You should definitely make yourself a honey elixir. It's very easy to make. And yeah, it works. Let's just put it that way. It works.